look forward all the way to next year's playoffs, and what are the Cowboys' chances of making them? Right now, according to Vegas, pretty good. Nick, is there any chance, any snowball's chance, that the Cowboys miss the playoffs?
No, they're not going to miss the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I do not think it is in conflict or contradictory to have massive questions about the Cowboys' ability to win a championship while also being fully confident they're going to be in the tournament.
Okay.
This team dominates its division and dominates at home in the regular season. If you do those things, particularly in the NFC, which, while I think better than it was last year, is not the stronger of the two conferences, or the deeper of the two conferences, I should say, you're not going to miss the playoffs. We can show you both. The Cowboys the last 2 years in the division, the best team in the league, highest scoring team in the league, blow everybody out. And we can say, oh, it's tomato cans or whatever. That division didn't get better. I mean, it might have gotten better long term with Jaden Daniels coming there. But the Commanders all of a sudden aren't going to be great. The Giants are still the Giants. And the Eagles, last I saw, they were falling apart. So then what about at home? The Cowboys at home. They are as good as any team in the league, the best actually, in the regular season. And so the NFC this year gets 9 home games, 8 road, because that flips year to year. So what are we talking? Like, they're 6-3. Let's say they have the worst home year they've had in years and go 6-3. You have road games against the Giants, Washington, and Carolina. You're just baked in at a minimum 9 wins before you have to win one tough road game. So, no, I don't think there's any chance they miss the postseason Wilds.
Greg, can I pitch you on a 9-8 season?
You don't even have to pitch me.
Lose at the Browns. Lose at home against Lamar. Lose in Pittsburgh. Lose again against the Lions, even though you won the game. Lose at San Francisco again, and then you get the San Francisco hangover effect after getting beat up. You go to Atlanta, you lose that one. You lose to Joe Burrow in your building, and then you split with Philly, you lose there. That's 9-8. And I'm giving you the win over C.J. Stroud that I felt tepid about. So that's my pitch for 9-8.
Yeah, I think there is a chance they miss the postseason because we're basing, and listening to even you, Nick, you're basing a lot of who they have been off of previous years. And moving forward, this is not a roster that has made a lot of moves. Not that they needed to. However, when you're looking at teams around you and you talk about the Washington Commanders, a team in interdivision teams.
That's a good take.
And you say, okay, they're not better. Huh? They're going to be more competitive. The Giants, I'll talk about the Giants. The Giants defensively are going to challenge the Cowboys even more this year than they did last year. Clearly, we know that. The Eagles, I believe that they have a lot of tension there, but they also have a lot of upside because of what we've seen them do. So they're going to compete. I don't think this is just the Dallas Cowboys last year where they're just going to cruise through their division, cruise through the NFC. The NFC North, in my opinion, has the better chance of 3 teams making it into the postseason.
I agree with that.
Any other division. So there is a chance that the Dallas Cowboys miss out.
So here, listen, I want to, you made a good point. So I want to clarify a bit of what I was saying. I do think Washington will be better than it was last year when they had the number 2 pick of the draft. My point, so I shouldn't have said exactly that. My point is Washington's not all of a sudden, in my opinion, a good team. I think Washington is still a team that if you're a good team, you expect to beat even in Washington. The Giants' defense, with the addition of Brian Burns, absolutely should be better. Unfortunately for the offense, they might be starting Drew Lock. I don't know what they're doing. Sorry, they might be starting Drew Lock, but regardless, I think the Giants are positioned to possibly be the worst team in the conference this year, depending on what happens with Bryce Young and Carolina. So go ahead.
Here's one caveat with the Washington Commanders, and I'll hand it right back to you. You now have your head coach knows that team down in Dallas.
Oh, I do like that.
He knows the offense. He knows that quarterback. He knows that defense. He is going to have them. If nothing else, Washington, the Commanders will split with the Cowboys.
I like that.
It's crazy to me that Nick thinks that this division isn't going to be tough, right? Like the Eagles weren't ranked the second best roster in the NFL. Okay, like they didn't just go to a Super Bowl a couple years ago. Like, are we serious here? And then he wants to act like the Commanders are going to not be that special. Like they're just going to roll over. That's insane. They've gotten significantly better from not only coordinating, but then also obviously the head coach with Dan Quinn and the quarterback position and a collection of other pieces. So like, what is he talking about? Seriously, like that's insane to me. Also, he says Washington. Bro, it's Washington. Come on, it's Washington. But anyway, it's just like this idea that there's no chance. Like, listen, I'm not going to come here and say that there's zero chance that they don't make or that they're definitely not going to make the playoffs, but it's definitely possible, especially because Nick, I want to know who Nick thinks is going to be the odd team out then, because the 49ers have to make the 49ers are going to make the playoffs. I just like unless there's cluster injuries, I don't see how it's possible, okay? The Detroit Lions and the Cowboys are going to, the Detroit Lions and the Packers, okay? That's 3. We know that he thinks that the Bears might reach the playoffs, might reach the Super Bowl, okay? So that's 4 right there. And then you're going to have I don't know. I believe it's going to be the Falcons, but you can pick who you want. Let's just say it's the Falcons or Tampa Bay or the Saints. Again, I think it's going to be the Packers or God, I'm messing up here. The Falcons. And then again, where does this all leave you then? Like, what teams are going to be do you think that the Eagles are not going to make it to the playoffs? Because I guess that's what he's saying. He thinks maybe that it's going to not be the Eagles. Or the Rams. Like there's only going to be so much more room for these teams. It's going to be tough. I want to see if I can get NFC teams. Let's see here. If I can just get like an easy list of, why can't I see this? I wish there was just like an easy straight up list of teams that I can jump onto. This will work. Okay. So I'm just curious because let's just say the most forgiving expectations for the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. We can start off with the NFC East. Well, we'll save that for last because technically they could win that division. He believes the Chicago Bears are going to be in the playoffs. We know that. Boom, that's 1. Now, he really is he going to argue that the Detroit Lions or the Green Bay Packers both won't make it or won't make it? Because let's just pick one of those teams then, right? That'll be 2. Then you got the Falcons, that's 3. And then it's got to be at least the 49ers or the Rams. That's 5, okay? I just don't see how even under Nick's delusion he could believe that the Eagles are not going to be in the playoffs, and that would be 6. And then you're going to now have the Cowboys fighting for a spot, I guess, with the Packers or the Lions or the Rams. And under that logic, then, who's it going to be? Who do you pick? The Packers or the Cowboys? The Rams or the Cowboys? The 49ers or the Cowboys? The Lions or the Cowboys? The Bears, since we know he loves the Bears or the Cowboys. I'm just not seeing it. There's too many good teams right now. So I just think it's just kind of, he so desperately wants to continue to win favors with the Dallas Cowboys fans that he's like afraid to say that it's going to be a tough road. He'd rather say that the Eagles are going to be trash or that the Commanders didn't get good enough, and it's just like, it's really funny to me because he said before in a previous segment that he thinks kind of gone are the days where a young quarterback will struggle with a team. And now the Commanders have their new quarterback. And they have their really good to great OC. And they have a great defensive mind in Dan Quinn as the head coach. So, like, why do you think that the Commanders are going to just be like an easy win for the Cowboys? Like, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, I think best case scenario for the Cowboys is that they're going to split with all 3 of those teams. They'll split, even if we want to say they sweep the Giants, they split with the Eagles and the Commanders. That's 2 losses right there. I want to see, where was this? Nope, that's the wrong one. Let's see their schedule. Okay, I mean, we know Dak doesn't play great against great defenses, so The Bears should be tough. The Ravens will be tough. The Steelers will be tough. The Lions will be tough. The 49ers will be tough. The Eagles will be tough. The Texans will be tough. The Commanders will be tough. The Bengals will be tough. I mean, I really don't see how you could possibly act like this is a guaranteed walk in the park. This is a tough schedule. This is a legitimately tough schedule. So I find it, I guess I shouldn't be shocked, but, you know, I think actually Greg kind of said it best. And it is funny to see Nick try so hard to kind of keep this narrative and how the fact that he wants to use the previous few years as a reference point when the Commanders didn't have a quarterback. Like, I don't even know, like, what's the point of even using that as a reference? Like, it just doesn't even make sense. And he wants to talk about like dominating the NFC in the last few years. Like, the Eagles are the ones that have went to the Super Bowl, who actually made it to an NFC championship game. So, like, they haven't been dominating anything. It's just nonsense. One of the wins against the Eagles in those last 3 years was when Jalen Hurts wasn't even playing. And they were resting a lot of the starters because they were en route to a Super Bowl. So it's just always funny to me that we use some of those numbers to kind of juice the resume. Like, we want to use, Dak's numbers against the Commanders in the final game of the season last season when literally, like, nobody was playing for the Commanders. They were all injured or just, sitting out. And, like, obviously they destroyed them. It's like, that's what we're using as a reference point of what this season is going to look like. It makes zero sense to me. Literally 0 sense to me. I just like how under Nick's logic, the Chiefs got better in the draft and offseason acquisitions, and Mahomes got better, and Andy Reid as a coach got better, but apparently to him, like, no other team got better, right? Like, it doesn't matter what the Eagles do, they didn't really get better. The Commanders, he kind of walked back, but he's just like, I don't think that they're good now. It's just, he thinks that the 49ers are going to be worse because, well, no team has made it to the Super Bowl again, or like the chances of that are very rare. And he's like, well, that automatically means the 49ers aren't going to be there. So his logic sometimes just really kind of blows me away. Sometimes a lot of times I can see his logic. Other times I genuinely struggle to be like, I think it was O'Shea and a couple other people pointed this out to me, that sometimes he really does just kind of have takes just because he knows what will be popular or what will be controversial. And it's not to say that it's such a controversial take to say that the Cowboys are going to make the postseason, but I just don't know if he inherently believes it. And that's why his logic is not really sound. When he comes with a take that he really believes, he does come with all of the stats and the numbers. And although I think there's also flaws in some of that logic, at least I can, accept that he believes it and that he's kind of did the work. This is just like, well, the Cowboys have always done well in the NFC East and the NFC as a whole, and therefore they're going to be in the playoffs. And it's like, well, what? That's not how football works. Like, if we always just use previous years as a frame of reference as to what will happen in the future, then it would be the same two teams in the Super Bowl, the same team winning the Super Bowl year after year after year after year after year. Tom Brady would have 15, 20 Super Bowls. So it's just, that logic, it will always fall on deaf ears to me. It never makes sense. And I think it's just one of the weakest arguments someone can bring to the table when trying to prove a point. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think there's any chance that the Dallas Cowboys miss the postseason? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.